Hello students. So in this video lecture we are going to discuss human rights. So human right which is linked to environmental issues. So basically we will study the relationship of the human right with the environmental issues. So there are many types of environmental issues like equal distribution of environmental resources, the utilization of resources, intellectual property right, conflict between people and wildlife, resettlement issues, then access to health to prevent environmental related diseases. So all these environmental issues are related to human rights. Now let us discuss some of the human right which is related to environmental issues, that is equality. First one is equality or equity. So you see, one of the prime concerns in environmental issues is how wealth, resources and energy must be distributed in a community. So you see, in our society there is no equality, there is inequality everywhere. Starting from the wealth or economic resource, the rich people in a country has more wealth than a poor people, much more wealth. So the difference between the rich and the poor people is much higher. Again, there is some difference between the developed and the developing countries. The developing countries are using more resources or getting to use more resources than the developing countries. So there is an inequality everywhere. There is an inequality in the lifestyle also. Lifestyle of the poor and the rich, lifestyle of man and women, this differ from each other. So we should, as a aspect of human right, we should try to find some equality in the society. Try to manage among the inequalities. Try to find out the, I mean, equation. We have to make the resources equal. Resources, wealth, everything must be distributed equally. So this is one of the human right aspect. Next is nutrition, health and human right. So you see, these three are closely linked to human right perspective. From a human right perspective, these three are always linked. So proper nutrition, health and human right are fundamental to human. As we know, the right to life is a fundamental right in our constitution. Right to life হচ্ছে আমাদের fundamental right. So everyone should get a proper nutrition. Everyone has the right to live a healthy life. Okay, so all these are related to environment. So if anyone does not have a good economic resource, if anyone is poor, then what will happen? He or she will not have a good environment, and as a result their life span will be shorted. Suppose a person can live up to 80 years if he or she gets proper nutrition and proper health care. But if the environment is deteriorated, if the environment is not good, then he or she will not be able to live up to 80 years. So he or she may die within 60 years. So this is just against the right to life. This is just against the right to life, which is our fundamental right in our constitution. So somewhere, because of the poverty, because of the difference of wealth among the rich and the poor people, because of the lack of proper nutrition, uh, people are suffering from malnutrition. They are, because of poverty, people are suffering from diseases, and this is going against the right to life, which is a fundamental right in our constitution. Next, going to intellectual property right and community biodiversity register. So intellectual property right means the things which is created by an individual. That means a new individual, when he or she creates something with the help of its mental aptitude, creativity, and that is known as intellectual property. And that person who is building something out of his creativity, the person has the right over that thing. So that is intellectual property right. So you see, there are many tribal people who are living around the forest areas. In many of the forest areas, around many of the forest areas, they are living. So these tribal people, they generally have the knowledge of the all sort of plants and animals. So what are the uses of the plant in their locality? How they can be used? So they have the proper knowledge regarding this. So this knowledge is used by pharmaceutical industries. That means the industries which make medicines. So this knowledge is used by the pharmaceutical industries to make medicines. And as a result, they earn billions and billions of rupees by selling these medicines in the market. These industries earn billions and billions of rupees by selling these medicines in the market. And in return, these people, these poor tribal people, are not getting anything. So what can be done? So a solution to this problem is community biodiversity register. It means that the local plants and animals found in a community, they have to be registered. There should be a proper record of the plants and animals found in a community. So if any industry or any pharmaceutical industry claim that they have made a medicine from a plant, then that community members, the poor tribal people living in that community, they can claim that this product is found, this plant is found in our area, and we have the traditional knowledge of this plant. So you are using my traditional knowledge, so you have to provide me with some of the economic benefit. So traditional medicine, as we know nowadays, more of us in India, almost also outside India, people are depending on the herbal product for primary health care. So more we use those primary health care product, more we will contribute to the health of this health or wealth of these people. Next, let us go to HIV AIDS. So HIV, we know that it is a virus, that is human immunodeficiency by virus, which causes a syndrome, that is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, through contact with the tissue fluid of infected individuals, especially through sexual contact. So if an infected individual, so if a person who has the HIV virus in them, they are already infected with the HIV virus. So if that infected individual comes into contact with a healthy individual, a person who has not got this virus through sexual contact, then this virus can be transmitted to the healthy individual, and they will suffer from AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So because of this syndrome, what happens is that the person, the immune system of the person, it becomes weak. So as the immune system becomes weak, the person loses their capacity or capability to fight against the diseases. So if the capacity to fight against the diseases decreases, then they will suffer from infection all the time. So this is the effect of HIV AIDS. Now how this will impact our environment? So when more and more people of more and more number of people in a country will be infected by HIV AIDS, this will impact our natural resource utilization. This will lead to unsustainable development. How? You see, as HIV AIDS, as people will suffer from HIV AIDS, the economic, their income capacity or income capability will decrease. They will not be able to work hard. So if they are not, if they are unable to work hard, if they are unable to do their income, then what will happen? They will try to use the resources that is found in the nearby environment. তাদের আশেপাশে যে রিসোর্সেস গুলো তারা পাবে সেগুলোই তারা ইউটিলাইজ করার চেষ্টা করবে। ফর এক্সাম্পল, আশেপাশে যদি ফরেস্ট থাকে, then they will do deforestation and use the wood of the forest, leaves or other things of the forest. They will go for hunting, they will kill the animals. So there will be unsustainable development, there will be degradation of the ecosystem. Okay, so example is in the sub-Saharan Africa. We know that Africa is the uh, country which is mostly affected by HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS infected person is mostly found in Africa. So as more number of African people are infected by this AIDS, so their income capacity has decreased and they are now degrading their ecosystem. So that is how HIV/AIDS and ecosystem degradation is related. Next is women and child welfare. So we know that almost 11 million children worldwide die from diseases and inadequate or improper nutrition. So most of this death occur in the developing world. This death because of improper nutrition, disease, it is seen mostly in the developing countries like India. So 7 out of 10 childhood death in developing countries is because of malaria, measles, diarrhea, malnutrition, pneumonia. So these are the reason. So let us see one this diseases. First is respiratory conditions. So most respiratory diseases are caused by one or more, are worsened by the polluted air. You see, in poor people generally they do not have much land resource, so they build their homes in small places which are not ventilated. তাদের ventilation যেসব ঘরে তারা থাকে, the ventilation is not proper. Ventilation যদি proper না হয়, then what will happen? Actually these people are using wood as a fuel. They are using wood as a fuel for cooking. So the smoke coming from this wood, it actually is responsible for the respiratory condition because they do not have proper ventilation. That is why they suffer from polluted air and as a result from respiratory diseases. Pneumonia is another reason behind the death of the children. So up to 40% children seen in health centers suffer from respiratory condition and many deaths attribute to other causes. So many of the children they die from pneumonia every year. Gastrointestinal problem. Children also suffer from gastrointestinal problem which occurs because of contaminated water and food. Again, diarrhea is another problem where children eat contaminated water or eat contaminated food and ultimately their body becomes infected with a germ and they become a victim of diarrhea. Measles, malaria we know it is a very common problem in tropical region. In tropical country like India, it was a very uh, major problem. So malaria, we know that malaria is caused by female Anopheles mosquito, which is the carrier of the malaria germs. So this mosquito usually they breed in stagnant water. So whenever the water it accumulates or it stays in a place for some time, then in those places, in those water, this malaria mosquitoes breed. আর এরা যখন breed করে, whenever they breed, they also the germs also multiplies. The germ also keep on increasing in the environment. Okay, so malaria is a widespread tropical disease which is caused by a parasite transmitted to human by mosquitoes. So it has proved difficult to control these mosquitoes. It has become because they have become resistant to insecticide, because এই মসকিটো গুলো অনেক রেজিস্ট্যান্ট হয়ে গেছে, the insecticide which we used earlier, they are not working on these mosquitoes because they have become resistant to that mosquitoes, sorry, to that insecticide. And the parasite also, both parasite and mosquitoes, they have become resistant. Now the parasite also, they are resistant against the drugs that were used against them. So we need to develop new effective drugs for killing those parasite as well as for killing the mosquitoes.